Just kidding. I got audio this time. I know I did it right. What's up? Welcome to Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. Thank you guys so much for checking us out on a Thursday evening. I'm going to have to, I always tell you guys what day it is. And I'm about to record like 6 episodes because I'm going to be gone on Monday for like 8 days at Disney World. And so I'm recording all these episodes. I'm going to have to remember not to say the day because it just won't make any sense. Everybody will be like, wait a minute, it's not Wednesday. What the hell is this guy talking about? It's Monday. But anyways, we got a great show for you guys tonight. First of all, I want to shout out a couple new members to the channel. Level Zero and Derek Rethman, thank you guys so much for becoming supporting members of the YouTube channel. And yes, the boomers got jokes, Miss Shannon. But thank you guys so much for financially supporting the show. Hit me up after the show. I'll make sure that you get into the Discord server. I know Level Zero is already in there, but it would be great to have everybody who financially supports the show in the Discord because it's a fun place and a really cool community and nice people. But of course, let's start off with some sponsors. TopLobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this amazing High on the Ideas of Liberty Ron Paul hoodie that I'm wearing tonight for a 10% discount by using BTC at checkout. Or you can join the Patreon, subscribe star, or become a member of this here YouTube channel under all of my videos by hitting the join link and get yourself into the secret, private, top secret Discord server with the great community behind Break the Cycle, where you can get all of Top Lobster's brand new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes out to the general public at like a 30% discount. I mean, it's big stuff, and he's got really good stuff. It's super quality. He makes sure that it gets printed right. It's really, really nice stuff. So check out Top Lobster. Give him your business. He deserves it. The man is constantly drawing for this movement. So, and of course, executive producer of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at much cheaper and much more efficiently. Seriously, if you own a business, look them up. Just find out what they can do for you. It's not going to cost you anything to go to the website. I'm telling you, they're awesome. I believe as soon as I get back from Disney World, I'll have Amy Lepore, the owner of Anthem Planning, on the show to talk about the drama in Delaware. Her and the chairman of the board will be on the show. It'll be an interesting show, and I'm looking forward to it because Amy is smart as ever and really, really awesome. So I hope you guys will check that out. Again, we got an awesome show for you guys tonight. I've been following this lady for a very long time, either on Facebook, now on Twitter. I don't know if she's allowed to be there, so maybe keep that on the hush. She works at Hoppe.org. She is the Mack and Liberty moderator on her YouTube channel and an awesome cosplayer. She is Miss Mackenzie Puff. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. I got off work today, and I have 12 days off work. So,
nice.
And if anybody's been following me for a while, you know that is really cool because I haven't not taken any vacation since like last July. And when we first got the kids and moved into the new house, we had a guy go out at work. We only have 4 shifts and 4 people, and there was no one to cover it. So I was doing like 72-hour weeks and 60-hour weeks back to back for like 3 months, and doing the show between 3 and 5 nights a week. It was wild, man. It was wild. But let's talk about you. That's what we're here for, right? Not here to talk about me. I'm just the host of the show. Let's talk about you. So you're a staunch anarcho-capitalist. You're very, very principled. You talk a lot about it on your channel, on social media. But I mean, how did you get there? First of all, I think you're the only woman ANCAP, right? Like the only one. Is there any? I don't know if there's any more.
I don't know about that. I might be the only one that's not like a stripper, but
oh, Jesus. Oh, I think the philosopher is going to be really upset about that. But
I don't know about that.
what brought you to these ideas, man?
I have a really weird story. I feel like everyone either was like a neocon or like a super left person.
I was certainly a neocon for sure.
Yeah, I have a few friends who were, where they are now, it scares me that, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's scary at the same time that they used to be neocons and now they're here. But I was just basically a super ignorant college student that got involved with Young Americans for Liberty. Like my first year I could vote was 2012, and I didn't even vote in that election. And I just didn't care about politics at all, which sometimes I wish I could go back to that. Yeah. But it's probably good that where we are now, I actually somewhat know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. But I basically just started as a really ignorant college kid, like a little baby Lolbert, and got involved with Young Americans for Liberty, which everybody pretty much knows started out of Students for Ron Paul, but I didn't even know who Ron Paul was, which is absolutely an insane thing to say in this
my heart is broken.
movement.
My heart is broken.
Right? That's how far removed from everything I was. I had no idea. And that was 2012. Like that was, how did I not know? I just wasn't paying attention at all. Wasn't interested in this stuff. So got involved with YAO and worked for YAO for a while I was in college, and then got introduced to other groups like the Con Inc. types, like the TBSA, and went to a bunch of events and things like that. Basically every political group you can think of. I went to like this International Students for Liberty conference and things like that, and basically just worked my way. And eventually I met some non-Lolbert folks who introduced me to the Mises Institute, which without the Mises Institute, I would probably still just be a little baby Lolbert, not knowing what the heck I was talking about. So thank God for them. But yeah, and now here I am, just going on podcasts and making videos.
The Mises Institute is like that window you can't close, right? Like I talk about this on the show all the time. Like once you go through that window, it's over.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate. It's like the libertarian red pill is the Mises Institute. Like once you take it, you don't go back.
And the further you go away from the window, the harder it is to ever even turn around and look at the window. I mean, that's really how it is. You start getting in. A lot of people get to the Mises Institute by Rothbard, right? It's not even really Mises typically that brings people. It's Rothbard is probably in our generation the more famous or more talked about economist and philosopher. But namesake Mises obviously was the inspiration for it by Murray and others, Lou Rockwell. And then you start reading all these other people there, Hoppe, and it's like you just keep going further and further away from ever being able to go back through that window. And it's even been a journey for me. I mean, my journey from libertarianism to ANCAP was 6 months, like most people. And that started with the Libertarian Manifesto for a New Liberty by Rothbard. That was the first one. You know what I mean? It was the first thing I read after F.A. Hayek's Road to Serfdom. And that was it. It was like, okay, now I need to keep going. But it was like, it took me several years after that, you know what I mean, to like get really, really deep into it. I mean, I'm just starting to read Hoppe recently, you know what I mean? And it's changed my opinion a lot on a lot of things, especially the discourse around anarcho-capitalism online, you know what I mean? And I have a better understanding of when people are arguing in bad faith than I did, because I've actually read this stuff, you know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why I read commie literature too, though. I don't want to, if you're going to argue with people and you're going to fight these bad ideas, you should probably know what the ideas are first, Yes. So I've read all of them, Proudhon and Bakunin and Marx and Kropotkin. I've read all that crap that I could just set on fire now and not care about. But so you work with the Hoppian, sort of.
Yeah.
Right. So
I help them out with social media and like make graphics and like meme videos and stuff for them and things like that. So
nice. First of all, Death, thanks for the $3 super chat. I will enjoy the vacation. Daniel 3 Biblical Anarchy gave a $5 super chat and said, if you aren't a stripper, are you really an ANCAP though? Sounds like a Fed.
Well, I am a Fed, don't you know?
Oh boy. All women on Twitter are Feds. That's how it works.
I actually, for a little bit before I got kicked off of my big account on Twitter, I had Agent Dana Scully, my cosplay of her, as my profile picture. So I was literally dressed up as an FBI agent, and people were like, I knew it. Oh my God. We knew it.
You're like, just give it a rest, guys. Just give it a rest. So I mean, I know you're a big fan of Hoppe and the Hoppian stuff. What was it about those ideas that really drove it home for you?
It was kind of a combination of things. So like a little bit more about my background. I think the first like liberty-minded book in that sphere that I read, I went to my first Young Americans for Liberty convention, like the big one in DC. And back when they were still in DC, now they've moved to Texas, which is probably a good move.
Austin.
Yeah, well, a slightly better move. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But I read The Law by Bastiat on my way to DC, like on the plane. And I thought, oh, like I'd never thought of the ideas like that. I've never thought of how laws are applied and like what they actually should mean in a way like that. And then I don't know how much longer later, but I basically went from that to getting involved with more right-wing people. And they had me read Anatomy of the State. And once I read Anatomy of the State, I know it's cliche, but I couldn't get it out of my brain. I think I would have still classified myself as a minarchist, like just holding on, but I couldn't justify after reading that, like the logic in that to me was so sound that I couldn't get it out of my brain. And then I started reading more Rothbard and got into the egalitarianism stuff. And then eventually that led me down to Hoppe, which to be fair, people have been calling me a Hoppian for a couple years now, but I just didn't feel comfortable calling myself that because I had been an ANCAP for so long, calling myself that, not really being educated enough to probably be calling myself that I didn't feel comfortable not reading and understanding things more to call myself another label. Even if people were already kind of calling me that, I just wasn't comfortable with that. So I made like my coming out video on my channel a couple months
I remember
ago.
that. I remember I saw the headline for that. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I actually went and watched it. I was like, okay, this is pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. That's good.
Like 3 minutes in, everybody knew it was a joke. They just didn't know what it was.
Yeah, when you started rambling for a while, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not what you thought it was. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure she's like married to a guy, and like, I don't think that she's gonna have like a coming out video. I feel like I don't know. It's gonna be strange. But that was pretty funny. I did watch that video. I think probably right around when you put it out, and I had a good laugh about it. But you're also really into cosplays. That's a big thing for you, and I don't know if that goes hand in hand with ANCAPs, but I've seen it a few times. But you get pretty well known. What was it that drew you to the cosplaying stuff?
The costuming stuff, basically, my husband and I met when we were 18, like the last month of high school. So we'd been together for a while, but he's really into all the, people call them action figures, and it triggers him. All the Gundams that you see behind me, those are all his. Like, that's his hobby. He builds them and custom paints them and stuff like that. So he's always been into like anime and things like that. And so I just got into it too, and we started going to conventions together, and I got really, the costuming thing is not his thing. Everyone's always like, why don't you do it together? I'm like, it's okay to have separate hobbies. Like, we don't have to do everything together. So, but he's my bodyguard, so he goes with me and we go with friends. Well, not lately, probably never again because of all this BS, but that's how I got into that. And funny thing is, I got into libertarianism and cosplay like end of 2015, beginning of 2016. That's when I like really started to get into both things, which was cool, but also terrifying because I wasn't as solid in my beliefs and not as stubborn about them, I guess. So I was really scared to talk about anything political because the costuming convention community is just
pretty
rampant with leftism. Yeah. But I will say, I have had a lot of people over the years message me personally, not publicly, about like cancel culture and things like that, and how they're moderate, but they don't, the kind of messages we all get, especially with all the craziness going on, like they don't necessarily agree. They're just terrified to say anything because of getting canceled and things like that.
Right.
So.
I've had a lot of comedians on my show that kind of say the same thing when the comedy world and, musicians on the show. I had actors on my show, like when I had Mark Pellegrino on, he said, he's willing to say some, he's a Ayn Rand objectivist and as goofy as that is, he said there's times that he just can't talk about his politics because he'll lose gigs. And it's like, that's really fucked up to think that like, okay, these people they're the ones who control what we watch every single day. They're the ones who make the movies that we watch. They're the ones who make the TV shows that we watch. A lot of those same companies own the news channel. You know what I mean? It's like, and you bring that up, if you bring that up with people, they'd start calling you a conspiracy theorist, but then you talk to actors who think like us and they're like, we'd be blackballed if we talked about our political beliefs. And it's like, these are the people that are controlling everything you watch and you don't believe that they're like feeding you this shit, this leftist ideology through all the stuff that they make and put out. Like, of course they are. Wouldn't you? I know when I make media, when I make a video or something, you're damn right. If it's a political slant to it, it's going to have my political slant to it. I'm not going to put out anything I don't believe in,
Exactly,
So it's pretty silly, and it sucks that there's so many great, fun communities like that are just overtaken by this shit, and that's what they do. I don't know if you're familiar with Karlin Borisenko, who I've had on the show. I know that some people are not fans of Karlin, some people are. I get it, but she, when she did the walk away movement, and the reason why she actually finally went away from this leftism or whatever was because she was in like a crocheting club.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was like literally a knitting club.
Yeah, it was like a knitting club, and these leftists like infiltrated the knitting club. Like this is horrible shit. You know what I mean? And we it's so funny because when you talk about, especially with the Lolberts, right? Like, don't get me started on the Lolberts. I've been around these people for years because I work in the Libertarian Party, and for the longest time, for the longest time it was I have my I have my in the Fed Mises Institute mug
Nice.
here. So, but I worked around these people for a long time, and it's like anytime you're like, oh, leftists are cancer, leftists, and then you start talking about how like you'll never have the society you want as long as the leftists keep infiltrating shit like the checks notes the knitting club. You know what I mean? Like it's always going to be a problem, and so we have to learn to fight back at some point because when these people are growing at the exponential rate that they are, we're gonna continue to lose our rights every day. And it's like, well, at what point do you stop and go, hey, these people are actually aggressing on us, like legit, they're aggressing on us. And so the Lolberts are like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't fight this, you can't. It's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like these people are literally trying to. We turned on. I had no idea this was going on, by the way. So my kids were watching Nickelodeon on the TV.
Oh no!
Right? And because I grew up watching Nickelodeon, it was fine.
So did I.
Yeah, I loved Nickelodeon, right? So I was like,
Blue's Clues and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little older than that, but so.
All right, that's fine.
I was like Kids Incorporated and shit, like prior to the Salute Your Shorts and stuff. Like I'm almost 40, and so my kids were watching Nickelodeon. I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, watch Nickelodeon, cool. They're watching what are they watching on there? Like iCarly or some shit. And it's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? That's fine. And then I sat down because I was like, I'm gonna watch some iCarly with my kids, and every single commercial was a Black Lives Matter commercial. Mm-hmm. And they're telling my kids to go out and protest and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is like this is like the kids channel, and they're telling my 9 and 10 and 7-year-old kids to go out and protest. Like, holy shit. So I had to sit them down and like explain to them that like, okay, yes, Black lives do matter, but this organization is a communist organization. Let me explain communism to you because I want you to understand what communism is. And my son, he's 10, and I was like, yeah, communism has killed 100 million people in the 20th century, right? And he's like, how's that even possible? And I was like, well, let me explain Mao to you, and let me explain Stalin to you, and let me explain these. So he got a good history lesson, and now when he sees this commercial, he's like, this crap, I don't want to watch this shit. I love it. But that's how awesome. I talk a lot on my Twitter about how like that's the most important thing you can do in this fight, really, is to raise strong, independent kids who think for themselves and aren't going to fall into the communism trap because they're not stupid,
Right, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things that, talking about how I eventually got to Hoppe, that's one of the things that I hate to say radicalized because people use that for everything, but it really did. Is I was in these circles, and I had a bunch of people I really trusted and considered friends. And I was just rolling free speech balls around college campuses with y'all.
I remember that. I remember this video. You did a video on this.
And and I got doxxed. I don't like to talk about it a lot because I don't like to be like, oh, woe is me. I feel like everybody's been doxxed at this point. It's not like a shocking thing anymore. That in combination with a bunch of Lolberts, anytime I'm Christian, it's not in my bio on Twitter, but I don't shy away from talking about it. I'm Lutheran, Catholics be triggered. But I'm not shy about it. I talk about it. That was my degree in school. I was actually a world religion major. Useless. That's why I dropped out. Right. But I would be talking about these things as not realizing the culture of the movement at the time, just being like a fresh person on the scene. And I would just get bombarded with these cringy atheists, and like, I have atheist and agnostic friends. That's cool. But I couldn't, it's like I could only go one way. I could criticize conservative, like social views basically, and Christianity and like the establishment of the church and things like that, which, I mean, it's kind of in my history, obviously, as a Lutheran. But the moment I think I remember one time I posted a picture of my brother and I in a church on Palm Sunday on my Twitter. And I was just like bombarded with all these idiots like, oh, didn't know you couldn't think for yourself. You're like a crappy libertarian, all this. And I was like, I'm done. And the further I got down the line, the more I read Rothbard and the dreaded late Rothbard and got into Hoppe. I'm like, no, actually, screw you guys. Actually, these values, whether you're Christian or not, they're conducive to a free society. And the fact that you're attacking me, you say live and let live. That's what really got me. the live and let live people, it usually only goes one way. And once I started to notice that, because I genuinely didn't care. I genuinely was coming to it from, okay, I don't care if you're Christian or not. I don't care if you hold these exact social views. That's fine, whatever. LGBT, all that stuff's fine. BLM, whatever. I was even one of those way back in the day because I'm like, well, they're not hurting me. Well, eventually they literally started to aggress upon me, dox me and things like that, and attack me. And at that point I realized I am not playing on a fair playing field.
Right.
Because they're coming from a malicious place and I'm not. And I think that's a big problem with modern libertarianism, like in general, is we're not fighting back. It's like we're a defensive philosophy and we just let people beat up on us. And that's a huge problem. We should be, actually making sure people know what the hell they're talking about. People say all the time, oh, well, you're a woman, that people gatekept you. I'm like, thank God they did. Otherwise, I would still be saying things like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. I mean, it didn't exist back then, but I essentially, was like, oh, equality for everyone, live and let live. I might still be saying that had people not been like, you're being an idiot. You should read this Mises article. Like, thank God people did that, or I would still be one of those people. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I get it. And getting back into the religion aspect, I fell away from religion for a long time. I grew up non-denominational Christian. My dad's side of the family is Jews, and my mom's side was my grandfather was Catholic, so I'd go to the Catholic church sometimes. I'd go to the non-denominational Christian church sometimes. I've been to temple a couple of times in my life, but I grew up religious. I was religious. I considered myself just a Christian, and sometimes I considered myself a Catholic, but I never went to catechism or anything like that. And I fell away from it for a long time. Especially when I got out of the military. It's like at first I didn't have time to go to church, and then I just, I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I told everyone I was agnostic for a long time, but thankfully a couple of years ago I started finding my faith again, and it's really, it's helped me be a better person, which is important. Even if, and that's the thing is like, people will beat up on you for this, right? Like, these like hardline atheists, and they'll beat up on you for like having faith in something, but those same people will turn around and be like, the government's gonna save me, and it's like, are you for real? Like, this is you. So I'm not allowed to believe in God, but you actually believe a government that has never given you any single shred of evidence that they will ever save you from anything is gonna save you in these trying times, bro. You're worse than any Christian I've ever met, ever.
The real flying spaghetti monster is the state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we got some super chats. Let's check it out. Let's see. Roy Cephas Jorgensen. I think I did it right. $5. Mac was the reason I switched to ANCAP. I saw one tweet about Hoppe, and it was all downhill from there. Look at you turning people.
Aww,
nice.
That's awesome.
Biblical Anarchy. Daniel, what's up, buddy? $5. Christian ANCAPs for the win. I'm a Calvinist, but Lutherans are cool, I guess. Oh, he didn't say I guess. I just said that.
He probably means, I guess, if he's Calvinist, but that's okay.
I don't really understand Calvinism, to be honest with you. It's not something that I really know much about. So, let's see. Oh yeah, I've read Karl Hess's Anarchism Without Hyphens, and I, that's what I've been. Here's the deal. I've been telling people for a while that I'm just a black flag anarchist now, right? Like just anarchists without adjectives, because there was so many ANCAPs that were so embarrassing.
Yeah, I think the most embarrassing thing I have ever seen was I was scrolling through my timeline, and I just started to call myself an ANCAP. I was like all gung-ho about it, like, yeah, I'm a costumer and I'm an ANCAP. And I was scrolling down my timeline one day, and I see a picture of a wolf person with a hammer that says anarcho-capitalism on it. It was like a furry.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, what have I allied myself with? This is terrifying. There are definitely cringy people. I don't know. I still call myself an ANCAP because most people I meet who only call themselves anarchists, aside from like Michael Malice, are kind of crazy. Like, they tend to not like me very much. And in my experience, they tend to be kind of more like left socially. So that's why I don't really get along. But yeah. Well, it's like that's just my observation though.
Yeah. And it's like cringy. There's a lot of cringy people in the ANCAP circles, like real bad. And it's like, and I feel like sometimes they're probably just really young or, kind of retarded or something. I don't know.
I just had a guy comment on my YouTube channel who was like, he joined my Telegram channel and he was like, yeah, I've been watching you since I was 16. I was like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 18 now. And I was like, Oh my God, there's minor. I'm influencing young brains, which is like cool, but also terrifying at the same time. I'm like, are they grooming you? Are you okay? Do I need to help you? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, it's important. It's important to mold the next generation, and that's, I'm doing it with my army of children, and other people do it other ways, and it is important. I wish more kids would watch my show. Of course, I cuss a lot and stuff on the show, and so I don't want to really, I don't let my kids don't watch my show. They're not allowed to watch my show, and because it's a lot of cussing. I don't like them to hear the F word, and I say the F word on my show. I don't say it a whole lot. Like, I never say it in the house. It's only on the show. It's like, this is just part of my online persona, guys. Okay, I'm really, really like a really good guy that doesn't say the F word unless I'm at work with my buddies. Okay, so let's talk. We talked a little bit about before the show, because I was trying to get your thoughts on like trad wife stuff. You have it on your Twitter, wife. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you can be kind of traditional with your values, obviously religious, but then you said, yeah, I'll make fun of some trad culture, which I thought was kind of funny. So what's your views on that stuff?
People have been calling me trad for a really long time. I think it probably is when people find out I'm Christian, they're just like, oh, you're trad. But to me, trad has become kind of a LARPing, which to me, like, I know LARPing, trust me. I don't do it, but I've been around it. Like, I can tell when people are LARPing. I'm kind of around LARPers a lot. And I don't know, a lot of the like traditional circles online, like, get just really cringy with it. Like, we call them, the red pill guys have got me onto this phrase, sun hat goddesses. Like, women like get into their late 20s, like where I am now, early 30s, and all of a sudden they're like, I have found Jesus, and they like put on their sun hats and they put on their like long cottagecore dresses, and they're like, who wants to have babies with me? And like, don't get me wrong, if people are coming to faith, that's awesome, but it's become like a big grift online, and it's very icky to me. Also, I've made the joke that I can't be traditional because I'm not into black guys. Because that's also kind of a trope online, which, like, if that's your thing, all right, it's not really my thing. So I don't want people to call me trad, because like a bunch of like the anime profile pictures will come after me thinking that's my thing, and it's not my thing. So I'm just like in this weird place. I don't like, the Lolberts don't like me because I'm too conservative in my social views. And then some more like right-wing libertarians, until they get to know me. Usually once people talk to me and like see my Twitter feed for a while, they're cool with it. But a lot of people see the cosplay stuff and they're like, oh no, like, where's her OnlyFans? Like,
Right.
Where's it at?
Right.
I'm like, no, like, I literally just like dressing up as anime characters. It's not that deep. It's not like a degenerate thing for me. So I'm like in a weird like in-between place. So I mean, yes, technically a lot of my social views are more quote unquote traditional, but I've never referred to myself as trad, and I find myself making fun of them more than I do like the statue profile pictures on Twitter and things like that.
Sure.
That like try to be really deep and philosophical and stuff. And it's like, and they also don't like anime, so they get really, the trad people get mad at me for the anime stuff. I'm like, all you people are crazy. Like, we're allies. You guys just don't realize it, but it's kind of a cluster, to be honest.
Yeah. I have, my fiance is definitely traditional in some senses. She stays home with kids and 7 kids, and I work, and she does housework. I do housework too. We split it, but she tries to, do stuff during the day. She gives the kids rides. I mean, and then, she takes care of me too, which is nice, but I take care of her in another sense. So I've never really understood like the trad thing. I think that to me, it's just like, oh, well, that's what a relationship can be. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. It's become such a big culture thing online now.
I think it's kind of sad. It's honestly sad that we're at the point where that is something people LARP and not just something people naturally do. I think that's what really bothers me about it. Because I mean, my mom, my dad worked like 3 jobs. My mom babysat other people's kids out of my house. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she was also taking care of people's kids that they didn't want to ship off to daycare, but they also didn't want to watch them themselves. So my mom was a mom staying at home herself, and so she started a daycare business. And so I grew up around, like, you were talking about your 7 kids. I'm not gonna say I know exactly how that is because I haven't experienced as an adult, but until I was like 21, my mom had 7 or 8 kids in the house, like running around all different ages. So I know how chaotic it can be.
Yeah, and that's
and I don't know how people do it all the time, because at least those went home eventually, right?
Yeah, they're always here, and we have all different ages. I mean, from 16 to 7.5 months. So it's
oh my goodness.
It's a wild range of emotions, and there's 6 women and 3 boys. if you include the mommy and daddy. So it's a lot. It's a lot for us to deal with. Six women every day.
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up. I'm not going to say like super traditional. Basically, I don't want to say the only reason we're Christian. My parents wanted us to go to private school because my mom tried to put me in public school and I was terrified and didn't want to ride the bus. So me being shy saved me from public school, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But so my mom stayed home and my dad worked. And I mean, my mom just got her first like big girl job like 6 years ago. She calls it her big girl job. She's so cute because she hadn't been in the workplace since they had first got married. So to me, that's just like you said, that's just something that's just normal to me. And it's really sad to me. I mean, all of my friends pretty much, aside from one really good friend I had divorced parents growing up. I mean, I'm a millennial. Like a lot of millennials' parents are divorced. That's just unfortunately how it went.
Sure.
So I always had that modeled to me. So it was never weird to me. And it's weird to me that like we'll go to family gatherings and I'll be like getting my husband a plate of food at like Thanksgiving or something. And all the other men are like, oh, I wish my wife would do that. And like, it's funny, but it's also just kind of sad to me that just like doing little things for each other is somehow revolutionary or, you know, it's countercultural. Like when did we stop doing nice things for each other in relationships just because you love someone? Like, yeah, it's like
really now sad. if you do something for your lady or your lady does something for you, it's like there's some pissed off section of the United States that's going to be like, yeah, you're this or you're that or you're a simp. Or you're whipped, or you hate your own gender, and it's like, holy shit, guys, we can.
I have internalized misogyny. So.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I mean, it's listen. I've seen your posts on Twitter.
I told them it's not internal; it's outward. I'm serious, but they don't believe me. They think it's internal.
I try to tell people that toxic masculinity is good, actually, but nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that shit anymore.
Yeah, I think if masculinity got a little bit more toxic, it would fix a lot of things.
You would hope so, but
opinion.
Everybody keeps drinking that soy, taking that masculinity away from everybody.
Stop drinking the tap water. Get a water filter on your sink.
Oh yeah, we don't drink tap water in the house. We don't have any soy products besides soy sauce. That's it. You know what I mean? That's the only soy that's in my diet is soy sauce. And I stay away. You know, I'm legit. Like I don't know if it is adding to the pussification of men in America, but I noticed that when the soy production went up in this country, men started not being as manly, and so we got to get back to chopping the wood for the fireplace out back. You know what I mean, guys?
It's really weird. I don't know what it is. There was like a point when I was a teenager. I didn't have a boyfriend till I was 18. I was just a tomboy till I was like 17. But like my mom legitimately sat me down and asked if I was a lesbian when I was like 16, and I was like, no, I have a crush on so-and-so. And she was like, okay. Like, not because she didn't accept it, but she just like thought it was weird that I wasn't like a 12-year-old running around with like Aaron Carter on my wall when I was a kid. There was a point that got really weird where like everyone was into like this skinny skater boy emo aesthetic. And I was just like, not into that. Like my husband is very much like Polish peasant stock. Like he's really broad and like not in a bad way, in a good way. But I just never got the skinny jeans thing. I'm like, man, if I can share jeans with you, I'm not real sure I would want to procreate with that person, but that's just a personal preference.
Sure.
So like the soy thing has always resonated with me. And I feel like my generation growing up is when it like really started to kick into high gear, like the millennials, like people just like the hipster like man bun type things really started getting popular and all the stuff. So
yeah, I can't do the man bun thing, and I did do the emo thing though, man. I played in bands and like metalcore bands and shit, so I totally had the floppy haircut.
I know. I will say though, I did like the music. So my husband's a metalhead and he makes fun of me. He's like, because I'll say I wasn't emo, I didn't dye my hair or anything or wear makeup, and he's like, I have seen the CDs that you still have. Yes, you were. Just culturally.
Once a month, you're popping in the Black Parade and listening to it. I know you are. I know you are. I still do too.
Bullet for my Valentine.
Yeah, I don't know.
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, I don't know how people can talk too much shit about My Chemical Romance. To be honest with you, the Black Parade was like one of the greatest albums ever written, and I don't care what anybody says. You can be mad at me. I'm not even an emo guy. I'm like a metalcore guy and a hardcore guy, but I still loved My Chemical Romance. I'm not afraid to say it, but I did wear skinny jeans for a while, but I've always been a big guy though. Like I'm a big guy that wore skinny jeans, which is
It's impressive, to be honest.
You're not supposed to do it, but it worked.
They did, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I
feel like everybody was at one point, to be honest. Like girls, it was like a gender neutral thing at one point. Everybody wore them.
Like I haven't been under 200 pounds since high school for sure, no doubt about it. And I was wearing skinny jeans and little t-shirts and the jackets with the fur on the hood. I didn't care. I didn't give a shit.
The jackets with the fur.
Yeah, we called everybody scene skamos. It was fun. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was a part of that scene, man. I sang in metalcore bands, and it was like that was the aesthetic. And if you wanted to try and sell CDs, you had to go along with this aesthetic. And I did it. I didn't mind though. I didn't mind. It wasn't too bad.
Now I'm a boomer when it comes to my music taste. So.
Yeah. What are you listening to these days?
I only listen to 70s and 80s music pretty much.
Oh,
Though I listen to everything. But my favorite band is Styx.
So I love Styx. That's the shit I grew up on.
I'm old. Yeah. That's the same thing with me. Like it's something my dad and I bonded over. I actually used to have 70s and 80s rock fan or something in my old Twitter bio, and I actually had someone call me like an alt-right rocker mom, I think it was.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know where they got that I was a mom. Maybe just because I had wife, they assume I have kids, which like whatever, I get that. And then they saw the 70s and 80s, and I guess they just thought I was like a boomer with a cartoon anime profile picture. I don't know. But so now my followers call me that as like an ongoing joke because my husband's like, turn it off. I'm like, these were your forefathers as a metalhead. This is AC/DC. You can't tell me to turn this off. And he's like, no, they're not. You're
like, you wouldn't have any of the bands you listen to if it wasn't for AC/DC, motherfucker.
I know. And he's like, shut up, Dad. Come on. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, Grandpa. Like the meme of the person walking the person in the walker.
Yeah.
That's me.
So like on my weekend days off, like I get every other weekend off for my job. And on my weekend days off, in the morning, I'll get all the kids together. I'll put them in like ranks or I get them all standing at attention. And I'm like, all right, listen, this is the plan for cleaning today. Okay. And we'll clean the kitchen and the living room. And they always want me to turn on Spotify. Last weekend I was off. They're like, hey, can we turn on Spotify while we're cleaning? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I put on Van Morrison. Because I love Van Morrison, right? And Crazy Love's like one of my favorite songs, and I was like, this, the kids are gonna love this. They're gonna love my 7 and 10 and 8 or 7, 10, 9, 3, 16-year-old are gonna love this. And I turned it on, and as soon as it started playing,
they hate it.
They're like, what the heck is this? No. We don't want to listen to this. I'm like, shut up. You're going to listen to Van Morrison while you clean.
Don't say anything or I will kick you out. Yeah. Like I remember my dad in the garage, like on like nice summer days, like blaring like the local classic rock station and me like dancing around in the garage singing like the I Like Big Balls song. And my mom coming into the garage being like, why is she singing that, Jim? This is ridiculous. And my dad being like, it's a classic, My dad still wears an earring and he's like almost 60. So like
nice.
He was like a pothead in the 70s. So
nice. Daniel Biblical Anarchy, thanks he just hit 3 months as a member of the YouTube channel. So now he will have that wonderful lime green BTC logo. Thanks, man. He says he wants to be an alt-right rocker mom. Sounds pretty freaking based.
Oh no.
End Democracy, $2 super chat said, I heard Mac is an egalitarian. Is that true? Oof.
Jared, come on, man.
That's a rough one. That's rough. That's hard.
Are you letting an egalitarian run your Hoppe accounts?
It's not very nice, buddy. That hurt my heart. I'm not gonna lie. But
I'm not even gonna respond to such blasphemy.
Can we talk about egalitarianism a little bit? As a revolt against nature, because first of all, it's a good book. Second of all,
there you go. That's the end of the discussion.
It is a revolt against nature, and that's true. I mean, egalitarianism does go against human nature. We weren't bred to be exactly the same across the board on everything. But I mean, what's your take on these people who are pushing for egalitarianism? I mean, what do you think the end result would be if we all had the same amount of money and we all, just the same everything?
I mean, historically, the result is essentially genocide, so I'm not really a fan of that.
Right.
But
100 million dead.
Yeah, so I mean, that was one of the big things that really pushed me to read Hoppe. I mean, obviously, Rothbard's got a book on it as well, or a collection of essays on it. So once I read that,
actually, it's up there. Yeah,
nice. That was one of the things. Once I understood because I used to be. We can get into this too. It's kind of related. I used to be one of those people that was like, right wing and left wing, they're on the same bird.
Right.
It's like, okay. Historically, yeah, especially as Americans, at the federal level, you want to argue politicians, maybe pre what's going on the past 18 months. Now it's like, if you're confused at which states you want to live in now, you're stupid or blind or not watching the news. But I used to be one of those people that be like, oh, the left wing and the right wing are the same. I'm not a part of the political spectrum. I'm above it. Like all the typical like Lolbert stuff. And I didn't want to call myself right wing, partially because I was just propagandized to think that those were the bad guys my entire life, which I didn't realize until I got into politics. I called myself a centrist. There's old podcasts of me being like, yeah, I was a little baby centrist. You notice I said Lolbert because I wasn't a centrist. I was very socially left-wing because that's just the TV, all the TV shows I watched. When I went to college, all my professors were like that. It took one of my religion professors telling me that Lutherans caused the Holocaust for me to be like, holy shit, these people are insane. Like, I don't know what these people are, but because I didn't at that point, but I'm not what they are. I don't know what ideology they're subscribing to, but it's not me. So once I learned about the difference between, egalitarianism and natural hierarchies and stuff like that, everything started to click. Why I thought, the Republicans, like the neocons in the Republican Party, why I thought, oh, well, those are right wingers and I'm not that, so obviously I'm different. No, those aren't right wingers. They're all Trotskyites. Like they're also pushing egalitarianism, and even some libertarians in ANCAPs, like we talked about, the cringy ANCAPs. Most of the time, historical constantly anti-communist. Even when I was like 19 in Young Americans for Liberty, I wasn't like pro-communist. But I thought, oh, well, I can ally with those people and things like that. And I eventually learned how dangerous that was because I got doxxed and things like that. So
Sure.
When it comes to egalitarianism, it's one of my biggest talking points now. And that's why I'm glad I get to help the guys over at the Hoppe out, because I think if more libertarians and just people, right-wingers in general, realize that that's what's going on, that's why normal people don't really seem to get it, and they're frustrated with both sides, quote unquote, but they don't actually realize what's going on. It's because they don't understand that it all comes down to, are you egalitarian or are you against that and you're for natural hierarchy?
Sure.
So if more people understood that, I think they'd come our way.
Yeah, I used to be a unity guy too. I did for a long time. I used to be in this really fucking cringy Facebook group called ANCAP versus anarcho-capitalist debate or whatever.
I think I was in that at some point.
Oh, so cringy. And I used to be the guy. I dropped the meme that had like the red and yellow and black snake and be like, we can team up to fight the state. And then they'd be like, shut up, you fucking racist. And I'm like, what the?
They'd be like, you're a fascist.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, no. I'm saying we could team up to fight the state. You guys can have your commune and I can come off here and, just trade freely with the people that live around me. Is that okay? Can we do that? And they're like, no, shut up, you racist, you bigot. And I'm like, dude, really? Are you fucking kidding me? And I've always been pretty undoxable because I shitpost on Maine. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Yeah. It's like, come find me. I dare you to come to my house. I dare you. Is like, I never really cared about the doxing thing. I worked in trade work for a long time. I still do. And, trade bosses don't give a shit what you do. Like, they literally don't care. My boss at work, somebody will be like, oh, let's find out where this guy works. Like in public, they'll say that about me, and I'll go to work in the morning and show my boss, like, hey, check this out. He'll be like, what a bunch of retards, like, he's hilarious. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit at all. And so, thankfully I'm in one of those positions, but not a lot of people are. And it's like, it's not like you hold these vile views where you're like, we should genocide everybody and this, you know what I mean? It's like, that's not at all what you're talking about. You're talking about, can you leave me the fuck alone to live my own life without a state? You know what I mean? And these people want to dox you and bring violence to you and all this terrible shit. And it does. And so I learned the hard way too. I was like, oh yeah, we can unify with these people to fight the state. It's like, no, you can't do that because they're literally going to stab you in the back the first chance they get, even if they haven't defeated the state yet. They're going to stab you in the back because they don't give a shit about you. They want you dead. Yeah. They want you dead.
You're just going to be a stepping stool. Your body is going to be a stepping stool, essentially. I think, and obviously they didn't mean it to be this way, but I think one of the biggest like red pilling moments for me from like Lolbert to what I am now is when I went to the International Students for Liberty conference. And I was there, and they're big unity people. They always have been. They still are. Unless you happen to be a right-wing libertarian, in which case, good luck.
Right.
I was at the conference and there was a group of people that had a table. I don't even remember who it was. I'll probably remember it after we get off here. But I was with a friend, and actually Eric July was there too. That's where I actually met Eric for the first time. But so there was good people there. I'm not saying there was no good people there. But I saw this table of guys, and there was this one guy arguing with this group of guys at a table, and they were talking about like anarcho-communism and like free markets, not capitalism, and all this. And I'm like, I turned to my friend who was a Mises guy already and younger than me, genius, and I go, "What are they? Are there communists here?" And he went, and actually, this was the year that Richard Spencer was there too. It was a very spicy year.
Oh, Jesus.
And so I got like full Lolbert mode because, of course, they all freaked out. And he goes, "Yeah, like there's ANCOMs here, like they're they're anti-state, so like they don't care." And I'm like, "That's insane. Why? What?" And like my gears started turning, and the more people I ran into, like a lot of feminists for liberty there, and I just kept running into all these people like, okay, these people, I was still at the stage I was like, they can do what they want, but I'm like, I don't agree with any of these people. And then I went to the Mises Institute finally in 2018.
That's it. That's the window.
And every single, I think I had one argument with a minarchist. I'm like, what are you even doing here? No, but he was still a nice guy though. But every single person I talked to, I was like, oh my God. Like I just felt so at home, and we just agreed on so much and could actually have like nuanced conversations and nobody screeched at me. And it was amazing. And I got to meet a lot of cool people. And I was like, okay, this solidified my position. So I got red pilled by the Lolberts. Like, it's like that meme where it's like, who radicalized you? And the guy's like, you did. That's it. That's all it took.
Well, so. it's like, so here's I guess a good summary of all that really is leftists infect movements and subvert them. That's what they do. That's literally their playbook. And so I know you know, say what you will about the Libertarian Party. I get it. I know people are not huge fans of the Libertarian Party. I ran for chair 2017, 2018, and this was right around the time there was founded a Libertarian Party Socialist Caucus with actual ANCOMs and mutualists and all these different left ideologies. And
is that the year? Isn't that the year the guy that actually ran for chair or whatever was an ANCOM?
Yeah, and he came up on stage with the I can't remember if it was a Bakunin shirt or a Karl Marx shirt or a Kropotkin shirt, but he came up to debate me with that. And admittedly later he said his actual words were that he only ran to fuck my couch. That's what he said.
So he was basically trolling.
Which is funny because that's probably the only thing that guy can fuck anyways is a couch. But So, you know, at first, this was when I was still back in those cringy groups on Facebook and stuff. And at first I was like, okay, maybe we can unify with these guys and work with them somehow. But then it was like, in the back of my mind, I always knew that communists infect and subvert. That's like their playbook. That's what they do. They infect the movement and then subvert it and change it. And so at some point during that campaign, I decided to fight. Like I was going to fight these people, and I was going to, I came out slinging fire. Like, okay, we're going to win this. We're going to take over this national board, and we're going to kick all these fucking communists out of the party. Like, you guys are not allowed here anymore, right? I'd never read Hoppe at the time, but now I know, physical removal and all that shit. And so that was like my campaign platform. It was like, we're going to get rid of these leftists. They don't belong here. They're subverting this movement. They're trying to take over the Libertarian Party. And to some extent they had, you know what I mean? They were controlling the messaging. They were doing these things, these leftist things in the party. They were arguing, calling people racist and all this same shit. And then and the Mises Caucus came around, regardless of how you feel about them, they have reinfected the movement and taken it over, or the party, and really taken it over. They own like 27 state boards now, and the Socialist Caucus is like gone. They're not even around really anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's nice to see our good ideas winning in the political sphere, even if it's the shitty Libertarian Party. I know everyone hates it, but it's a good turning point.
I mean, I was a person probably as early as like 2018, 2019. I probably still would have been like, I have never been one of those ANCAPs. It's like, if you vote, you're a slave. Right. I think that's idiotic. If your taxes are going to be raised locally and you vote against it, you're not a slave. You're defending yourself. That's how I take it. But I am completely fine. Like, I don't agree with the LP strategy. I think a Tho Bishop Republican is the way. But I will never knock anyone for getting involved locally, even if I don't agree with, whether it's LP or the GOP.
Sure.
I don't care. I mean, Young Americans for Liberty, to their credit, like, there's a Rothbardian, like, a district over from me. That's fucking amazing. Like, there is a guy who, like, reads Rothbard and talks about it at, like, council meetings,
Nice.
a district away from me. So that really red pilled me. And I'm like, okay, we got to get involved, especially with all the craziness going on now. We've got to do something. Like, we can't just sit and, podcasts are awesome. All this is awesome. But, like, you got to do something besides that. Like, you've got your kids and things like that. Like, we've got to get out there, especially with what's happening now, and actually locally get involved. And that's another thing that I like about the Hoppian strategy and, people like Tho Bishop and things like that, is they're actually urging people to get involved and not be like armchair quarterbacks for politics, which is unfortunately what a lot of libertarians end up being. So.
Sure. Absolutely. No, I agree fully. Daniel 3 Biblical Anarchy, thanks for a $20 super chat, man. He said evolution science or egalitarianism, pick one. You can't have both. Egalitarianism also contradicts the Bible. Without hierarchies and inequalities, you will have chaos, which is unironically what the left is about. True. Well, definitely the chaos part. And
I also saw somebody in the chat say they don't like the term Lolbert. If you don't like the term Lolbert, we can go with what Lou Rockwell coined the term regime libertarians. Yep. That's my personal favorite, actually. That's
actually what I had been calling them. When I had you and Jared on the show, of course, we're going to say Lolberts. When I had Nick Ashley on the show, of course, I'm going to say Lolberts. When I have like Mises Caucus members and stuff, we talk, and when I had Jeff Deist on and Tom Woods, we talk about regime libertarians, which is the same thing. Yeah. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's kind of regime libertarians are kind of the more serious ones, the ones that literally like are writing articles and stuff, defending, lockdowns and things like that.
The Cato people, and these are the people.
We'll say their name, Reason and Cato.
Reason, Cato. But there are, and there's actually some pretty base people at Cato too. And it's hard because there's so many.
They need to get out.
I know, Corey DeAngelis, if you're listening, bro, it's time to go. You got to go to Mises
Institute. I
love
Corey. Yeah. He's doing awesome work. So I don't, there's individuals, but
there's some good people.
By and large, I mean,
Alex Norwash can take a flying leap. I hate that guy. There's a lot of people that I really dislike at Cato, like not even just a little bit, like I despise, like
they're the enemy, like just straight up, like
Andy Craig writes for Cato. Okay, that's enough said. This guy's,
oh my god, does he?
Oh yeah, he's been writing for Cato.
I didn't even know who he was till like 3 months ago.
He's such a fucking dork. You guy's such a dork. What's up, Jared? Thanks for the $5 super chat. He said, Mac is the best. All that great Hoppian.org social media content is her work, and we're all very grateful to have her on the team. Thanks, Mac. Aww, that was sweet, Jared. Look at you. You're not anything like what they say about you, buddy. Nothing.
He's the bad guy. What are you talking about?
Oh, I know. It's funny because, when I was getting ready to have him on the show, of course, the Fakertarians lost their damn shit. And they're posting all these quotes from Hoppian.org and shit. And I was like, look, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care.
I was literally sitting behind our social media laughing my ass off. Like, you think I'm going to respond to you? You're fucking losers. Like, literally, who are you? And they actually invited me on their podcast at one point, and I think I just blocked them in response. Like, I'm not giving you views. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not happening.
It was funny because, I don't know if you saw the episode where I brought John Hudak on briefly.
I did.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
It was actually,
I knew something was up because I was like talking to my friends in a group chat, and I was like, why is Josh doing this? This is stupid. Why is he giving these people attention? And then the podcast started like in 10 minutes. I was like cheering, like, yeah. I knew he was just joking around.
Yeah, I wasn't bringing that fuck stick on my show, but no, it was funny because they brought me into their group on Facebook, and where they just literally like drag my family and shit. Like, you guys are fucking idiots.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross, right? And so they brought me to this group, and so I'd go in there and I'd just drop some like stupid post in there, and just on purpose, like alt-right post or something stupid, and then I just take off, and I'd come back like a week later, and there'd be like 100 comments on it of all these people just so mad, and so when all this shit kept going on, and then John Hudak wrote a letter to the LNC to try and get me removed from the LNC, and he started calling me a Nazi sympathizer, which I have family that survived the Holocaust and shit too, right, on my dad's side, and so like this is just unforgivable shit. You know what I mean? Like,
that just means you have internalized anti-Semitism.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No, I was I was completely done with this guy. So I made that video and I was like, look, send your best guy. I'll give you 1 hour to make your case on Break the Cycle. I never intended to give him a platform ever. Not ever. Yeah. You know, his side, they're all like, we won. Ha ha. He was too scared to debate John Hudak. I'm like, John Hudak can't string 3 sentences together in person, dude. Like I was never afraid to debate the guy. You know, I debated Larkin Rose for 2.5 hours. I'm not afraid to debate the Munchkin from Fakertarians. But, So I brought him on as a joke. I mean, that's really what it was. It was like that the whole time. It was all planned out. I talked to Tower Power Hour. Dickie Walnuts made that little Undertaker video like a week prior to the show.
Undertaker was I grew up watching like that era of WWE. And so like I only have one brother, so like that's why I was a tomboy, because I just did all the boy stuff. But I would watch that, and so when I heard the Undertaker music, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so good. I don't know what's coming, but it's gonna be good. Yeah,
it was pretty funny. But yeah, these guys are pieces of shit. I don't even remember where I was. Oh, they kicked me out of the group after that show. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You know, they don't even want me in the group where they can drag me anymore, because they know after that show that I did, they know that it doesn't bother me at all, because I just didn't give a shit. I didn't even need to make a case. I was just like, look, this is what's happening. It's actually Tower Power Hour show. You're a dork. Bye. You know what I mean?
I think unrelated to what we're talking about, I swear, but I think the libertarian movement in general, I've talked about this with some friends. My husband grew up like still getting in fights with people in school, and so he's rabble roused a little bit. I think the libertarian sphere, since it's mostly male, which doesn't bother me, would be a lot better of a place if half the people that run their mouth on social media had ever been in a fight in their life.
Right.
And obviously I'm a woman, so I haven't, so that's a little hypocritical, but I'm a woman. I'm not supposed to. I think these guys that run their mouths, not just people we're talking about, everybody in general on the Twitter sphere, not even just in libertarian circles, just in general. See, I'm a boomer at heart. It's coming out. Just like get in a fight once in your life. You will never talk shit like that again, especially about somebody's family.
Yeah.
No. That would not be happening.
Well, it's funny. You know, somebody dropped it in I think it was Jared dropped it in the chat earlier. He's like, be a man, fight your friends, you know? And like every one of my best friends and I have been in a fist fight. Like that's either how we became best friends or how we strengthened our bond as best friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I grew up in a place where you had to fight to survive. I'm right outside of Oakland, California. Like it's not an easy place to grow up. And so I don't know, maybe that's what changed me, because you know, I'll talk shit online, but I'll talk shit to people's faces because I've been punched in the mouth plenty of times. It doesn't scare me at all.
I mean, I've been given a lot of credit to Twitter, but I have also been radicalized by my husband, who also grew up in a not so great area of where we live.
Sure.
And he used to make fun of me all the time for the live and let live stuff and being a little baby and just so naive about equality and all that. He's like, I can tell you firsthand, that's not real. Yeah. He's like, I'm better than those people that I grew up with. I can tell you that. So
yeah, most of the people that I grew up with are prison, dead, or strung out on drugs right now. So you know,
yep. Yeah, that's pretty much the same for him. So
I know I'm doing good. Well, we're getting to the end of the public stream, Mac. What do you got coming up next? What's going on with the channel? Where can people find you, support you, listen to you, all that great stuff?
Yeah, so if you want to, I'm hopefully going to be putting some more stuff up on my website. So when I got kicked off of Twitter back at the end of March, I think it was, I made a website finally because I was like, I got to have somewhere for people to go just in case I get digitally removed from everything.
So to speak.
So you guys can find me there, or my YouTube channel is Mack and Liberty. I also have a Facebook page. And if you go to any of the videos on my channel, Mack and Liberty, all of my social media and my public Telegram and everything, you guys can join in the description there. Also, I guess plug a little Hoppe. I have a video on my channel up from a month or so ago of me just reading the first part out of Hoppe's Getting Libertarianism Right. And I think that's one of the most important books people can read now. It'll put into perspective a lot of things. And then, of course, follow the Hoppian on all social media. I'd rather you guys follow that than me, to be honest. That's more important.
Yeah, so. I just bought Getting Libertarianism Right a couple weeks ago, and so I haven't got a chance to sit down and read it yet. It's short, so
once you read that, it's kind of like the Egalitarianism book essays by Rothbard. You're just like, oh, okay. It's a light bulb moment. At least for me, it was. So.
Nice. Well, I got coming on the show on the 19th when I get back from Disney World. I actually have Jody Plauché, who is the son of Gary Plauché, who was the man at the payphone that shot his son's
that's
kidnapper.
That, like famous
very famous news clip of Gary and the cops scream, "Why, Gary, why?" Well, Jody, the son, is going to be coming on my show on the 19th.
Wow, that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really interested. He wrote a book called "Why, Gary, Why," which is what the cop screamed at his dad after he shot his abuser. And so I'm very interested, but that's the next book. I got to read that book before I have the person on my show. You know what I mean? So
that sounds awesome.
I don't know if I've ever been more nervous for a show.
Yeah, that's good though. It'll be something different.
Yeah,
it'll be super interesting.
Yeah, he's like an advocate for victims of abuse, child abuse, and sexual abuse and stuff. And but I think that he wasn't a big fan of the way his dad handled things, and so I have to, because I'm like, to me,
I wonder how he'll feel about that news clip being like a universal like meme.
Well, and to me, Gary was a hero, right? Like this guy is like exactly, and you know that man did not spend a day in jail for that. By the way, he got a 7-year suspended prison sentence and some years of probation. He shot his child's molester in the head, his child's rapist in the head, in front of the police. The news filmed it, and he didn't do a day in jail. The guy's a hero. In my opinion, he's a hero. So I have to figure out how to like navigate. You know what I mean? That conversation without being like, by the way, your dad was a hero. Like the guy, you know what I mean?
Without being like fanboying and like being like offensive.
It's like one of my favorite online clips. Like I don't enjoy watching people die. That's one of those ones I'll make an exception for. It was like, you know what I mean? Like the guy raped a child. I hope it was painful, at least. I hope it hurt. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Mac, sorry, I was going to go with the Mackenzie Puff, but I'm a big fan. I really appreciate you coming on. If you could just give me like 2 or 3 minutes to close out the public stream, we'll start the members only stream.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Awesome, thanks. All right, guys, another awesome episode of Break the Cycle. Please go follow Mac and Liberty on YouTube. Follow the Hoppe.org, Jared, all those guys. They're amazing. Great stuff. I'm glad that I learned to read that stuff and happy in that community, because it's way better than the Lolbert Ancaps that are still chilling on some of those Facebook groups. Trust me, I promise you, it's not free. You don't need to go there. Guys, coming up on the show tomorrow, rising star Yael Becker will be here. She's got a great podcast on YouTube. We're going to talk about all that stuff. We're going to talk about her move from New York to Texas to get away from COVID tyranny, of course. I know it's a reoccurring theme on the show, but what's the issue of our time? This is the one. If you're not willing to die on this hill, you'll never die on any hill, and you will let the government walk all over you forever. And so we got to talk about it. We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep putting those stories out, and we got to stand up, or it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Next week, leaving Monday for Disney World with my 7 children. It's going to be a mess. It's a lot of kids to take to Disney World. I'm scared, but also excited. But I will be recording. I think I'm recording 5 or 6 shows this weekend before we leave. So you guys will have shows. They just won't be live, but they will premiere like live. So you guys will have the same cool live chat. I'll probably be able to hang out and live chat with you guys, if for some of them at least, and talk with you. So hopefully you guys will check out those shows. I know we got one lined up with Drew Hancock. Let's see. I think Citizen Hush is going to be on there. I think Sky Daddy's going to come on. She's pretty awesome. Let's see. Who else do I got lined up for that week? There may be a guest host on the Tuesday show. I'm not sure yet. We'll talk about that. But if there's a guest host, that'll be a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure the Clint episode will come out next week too. So the makeup episode with Liberty Lockdown will be on there. And Kentucky Rebel Scum from Twitter will also have a show that week. So good shows. They just won't be live. I hope you guys will check them out and hang out with me in the chat. I'll see you tomorrow for the show. Oh, did I just leave Yael Becker up on the screen? I did, didn't I? I did. I figured you guys wanted to see it. I'll see you tomorrow for the show with Yael Becker. I hope you guys have a great evening. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just meant it in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So when any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Well, Chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse. In Minecraft, just in Minecraft. You're nothing I mean, you know it. No product dinners, cause it closed to COVID. Holy shit, I think I'm